Good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to all the attendees of the first virtual commencement ceremony that's being hosted by the Department of Bioengineering at the University of Texas at Dallas. I'm Shalini Prasad, Department Head of Bioengineering, and your host for this event. All of us in bioengineering are excited to recognize and celebrate the graduates from the calendar year 2020. In this ceremony, we are recognizing the master's and doctorate graduates from our graduate program. Let me begin this event by introducing the Dean of the Eric Johnson School of Engineering and Computer Science, Dean Stephanie Adams. Dr. Stephanie Adams is the fifth dean of the Eric Johnson School of Engineering and Computer Science at the University of Texas at Dallas. She is the past president of the American Society of Engineering Education. Previously, Dr. Adams served as the dean of the Frank Batten College of Engineering and Technology at Old Dominion University. She was department head and professor of engineering education at Virginia Tech, and held faculty and administrative positions at Virginia Commonwealth University and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Her research interests include broadening participation, faculty and graduate student development, international global education, teamwork and team effectiveness, and quality control and management. In 2003, she received the Career Award from the Engineering Education and Centers Division of the National Science Foundation. Dr. Adams is a leader in the advancement and inclusion of all in science, technology, education, and mathematics, that's STEM education. She has worked with a number of colleges and universities, government agencies, and nonprofit organizations on topics related to graduate education, mentoring, faculty development, and diversifying STEM. Dr. Adams is an honors graduate of North Carolina A&T State University, where she earned her BS in Mechanical Engineering in 1988. In 1991, she was awarded the Masters of Engineering degree in Systems Engineering from the University of Virginia. She received her PhD in Interdisciplinary Engineering from Texas A&M University in 1998, where she concentrated on industrial engineering and management. Thank you, Dean Adams, for addressing our graduates and their family.
Thank you, Shalini, for having me. Thank you for your vision, your faculty and staff for putting together this virtual commencement for our students. To the students and parents, this is a great day. We're just so delighted that you are able to participate from around the world. There's a good and bad to being in a pandemic. The bad is that we can't be together in person and celebrate and see the students in their regalia and to witness them being hooded by their major professors. But the good is that all of you can join in. And if we were able to gather in person, some parents may not be able to attend. So at least with this virtual format, parents from all around the globe can attend. And that's one of the things that we are very proud of here at the Johnson School, is that our students do come from all around the world. And so I think this is a great recognition opportunity. I did have an opportunity to record a commencement address for our students. So I'm going to borrow some of the things that I said there in my remarks today. A couple points I want you to remember. Some of you may be feeling a little deflated because we're not in person. And when I thought about my remarks, I was reminded of Charles Dickens' words, "It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. We're living in darkness, we're living in hope." And I choose to see this as a time of hope and a time of light, and that, you know, your son or daughter or others may be, you know, leaving for the first time to really embark on their professional journey. And for some, you're reinventing yourselves through your graduate work. And so that's, to me, a time of hope, a time of a bright future for our graduates. And let me tell you, bioengineering and engineering in general are going to be at the forefront of all that happens in the rest of the world, as far as I'm concerned, because, you know, I always tell people, you look in anything you can find in your house and there's engineering involved in it some kind of way. And I think the biomedical profession has been near and dear to my heart, in that it got me into engineering. So my goal as a high school student was to become a biomedical engineer and design artificial knees I'm so far away from that goal, but I'm so thankful for the journey that goal has allowed me. And that's what I think is the opportunity for those of you who are completing your graduate work, is to go out and create and innovate the next set of solutions for many of the world's problems. And I think if the pandemic has not taught us anything else, it's taught us that when you put the best and brightest minds on a problem, we can solve it, and we can solve it very quickly, as evidenced by the rapid pace with which some of the vaccines are coming to the light for usage by the world's citizens, not just those in the United States. And I bet you, if you go down to every one of the teams, you're going to find a bioengineer somewhere on one of those teams, somebody who's contributing to the processing or to the chemical makeup or the way in which we think about how the body will accept or reject the vaccine. There's going to be a bioengineer there somewhere. So, regardless of where you go next in life, I think you will be well equipped for the challenges that are in front of you, because you chose to pursue graduate education and because you chose to pursue graduate education in bioengineering. So I'm not going to take much time. I want to see the names and hear the names called and see the parents cheering for their son or daughter and other. And so I'm just delighted that Shalini and her team put this opportunity together for us. And Shalini, thank you, and back to you and the team.
Thank you very much, Dean Adams, for those encouraging words. Absolutely, we are in the best of times and the worst of times, but this is where we get to innovate and show our comic pride in being the true bioengineers that we are and make a change for healthcare. With that, I wanted to recognize the fact that bioengineering is an extremely diverse department here at UT Dallas. In fact, we are ranked 1 for the number of women we have graduated in our master's program. As a department, we are highly research active, and we are very much engaged in coming up with solutions that impact healthcare across the continuum, from healthcare delivery towards looking at very basic science that drives healthcare outcomes. Today's presentation, I have with me the speaker who is a graduate from our PhD program. She just graduated in 2019, and I'll give you a little bit of an intro to her. That's Dr. Jennifer Boothby. But prior to that, I wanted you all to remember to save the date. On April 8th and 9th of 2021, we are hosting the 10-year celebration for the Department of Bioengineering. And this is a symposium that's done via Microsoft Teams Live, and all of you across the globe can join in on this. We're going to have multiple keynote speeches from leaders in biomedical engineering field, cross-cutting across academia, technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, industry, so on and so forth. And we want to celebrate the growth of bioengineering here at UT Dallas. So I hope you'll all join in and help us celebrate this great 10th year that we're celebrating during the pandemic year. With that, let me introduce you to our next speaker, Dr. Jennifer Boothby, who graduated from the PhD program here at UT Dallas in 2019. Jenny Boothby attended undergraduate at Georgia Institute of Technology, where she received her bachelor's in biomedical engineering while on a Godbold tuition scholarship. She co-opted for 2 years at a startup device company that develops shape memory polymer orthopedic devices, working on device design and biocompatibility. She started graduate school at University of Texas at Dallas in the fall of 2015. She received an NSF Graduate Research Fellowship and a Eugene McDermott Graduate Research Fellowship for her doctoral research on engineering liquid crystal polymers for biological applications in the lab of Dr. Taylor Ware. Over her 4 years at UT Dallas, she published 3 first author journal publications, co-authored 4 journal articles, and presented at 9 conferences, winning a Silver Graduate Student Award at the Materials Research Society annual spring meeting in 2019. She's currently doing her postdoctoral work at Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory as a polymer synthetic chemist, working on a wide range of projects involving responsive or biocompatible materials, including degradable hydrogels, soft robots, and coral scaffolds. Jenny, over to you, and welcome back to UTD.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be back. Thank you, Dr. Prasad, for the opportunity to speak. It's really quite special for me, considering so many of my friends are graduating, to be able to speak to you all today. I hope you guys have been faring well over the last year since I've seen you guys. I know it's been quite an odd year considering the pandemic, but congratulations, you guys. You've really shown a lot of grit overcoming this pandemic and getting your graduate degree at the same time. You certainly obviously have showed that you can overcome obstacles and adversity and really push through and succeed. So what I want to talk to you guys about in your shining moment in graduation is actually self-doubt, and what happens when you run into all of these barriers that I'm sure you guys are familiar with. And I know that we're all a little bit masochists for even doing a graduate degree, but you know the value of hard work and perseverance, and what I want to speak to is a little bit different than that. It's beyond just pushing through tough times. It's about making active choices when you want to take a harder path. So right now, I imagine every one of our graduates feels a huge amount of pride and motivation and a raw feeling of fulfillment. And you guys have done something wonderful and you deserve that feeling. And I know that's what I felt a year ago. And that actually is something I feel every time I graduate high school, college, graduate. And I feel like I've gotten through the worst part and it'll be smooth sailing from here on out. And I don't know where I got that idea from, because it's never really smooth sailing. And in fact, so far, life has only gotten harder after every single graduation. And certainly that's a consequence of my own personal choices, but it also surprises me every single time that it's getting harder and I run into these barriers. And I think when I run into these problems, this is my biggest problem yet. I don't know if I'm going to get through this. Can I handle this? And I get stuck. And I think about quitting all the time. It happens all the time. It happened after my high school graduation. In my second semester of undergrad, I took on too much of a workload and I failed my first class. And I didn't meet the GPA requirement for my scholarship. And I thought I was gonna get kicked out and have to move home and not be an engineer. And that was gonna be the end of it. Thankfully, my worst fears were not realized and I ended up graduating with a bachelor's degree. And I thought, wow, I overcame a ton of adversity. The worst is over. Let's do a graduate degree because that's the logical thing to do. And again, I thought I was prepared and I ran into much harder obstacles than I anticipated. And it happened so many times where I couldn't meet my own expectations and I couldn't meet my advisor's expectations and I got frustrated and I wanted to quit multiple times. I'm sure none of you guys are familiar with that feeling because you breezed through graduate school, I'm sure. But I ended up figuring it out and I managed to graduate. And again, I thought, good thing I have this figured out. I know what to do now. I've handled so many problems. I know what to do when this happens again. And so I said, let's start a postdoc. This will be easy. I'll figure this out. Well, I ran into a supervisor who doesn't like me. This supervisor is a shoo-in for a promotion where this person will have more control over whether my projects get funded, whether my projects continue, whether I can even get projects in the first place. And I got scared again. And I thought about changing jobs. And I thought, how can I succeed here when people keep putting up barriers in my way? And I didn't know how to deal with that. I thought I hadn't dealt with this sort of thing before, and I felt like I didn't have a choice. But we all have a choice about how we deal with situations like those, no matter what type of barrier we run into. And I can either let that person's career path define my own career path, or I can recognize that fear and turn it into a driving factor. And I can find my own way of succeeding regardless of that barrier. And this happened like last week, so I'll let you know how I get through. But you might be wondering why I'm talking about all these negative moments in my life and my path so far, instead of celebrating the positive, especially at such a big celebration event. But I wanted to share these things with you because in academia, in our country, in our society, we culture such a competitive atmosphere that encourages us to hide our mistakes and our self-doubt and our failures. And we idolize these big walls and impenetrable composure and no mistakes. But that's part of the path. It's part of everyone's path. And everyone experiences a huge amount of self-doubt. And that's okay. No one goes into their graduate program and is 1 month in and thinks, wow, I know exactly what I'm doing. This is fine. And that's not the point. And maybe some of us feel that 3 or 4 years in, and that's still okay, because it's not the point for us to know everything. The point is for us to recognize that we're on a journey and that we can move past our failures and we can keep going. And it's hard. And sometimes we think it's too hard, but everybody feels that way. And it's important to recognize when that's happening and when we're in fear of what is going to happen because of these barriers. And it's also important to recognize that if we're on the right path and we're pushing through barriers, it's not going to stop. We're not going to suddenly have a moment of everything's easy from here on out. Because when you're doing things right and you're trying to make an impact, you're going to run into barriers. It's inevitable. And you should maybe be worried when you stop running into barriers because you're not pushing your potential. And it's important to not let the fear of barriers get in the way of your success and letting your mistakes get in the way of what you perceive as your success, because they're a part of your journey. And without those mistakes, you wouldn't have the success. And so we need to celebrate the whole part of it. And you need to understand that you're not the only person who feels that way. And I know graduate school can feel very isolating, but we all went through the same thing. And we all experience these feelings, and we all have a choice to recognize that fear and accept it for what it is, a protective mechanism for yourself, and choose to see past it. And when we make that active choice to accept our self-doubt and then move forward, that's when we can truly succeed in our careers, in our personal lives, in anything that we do. So I'll close with some words from Chadwick Boseman in his Howard commencement speech. And he said, "Press on with pride and press on with purpose." So congratulations, bioengineering graduates. I'm excited to see what you guys do.
Thank you, Jenny, for that extremely personal message, and a message that resonates with all of us. It definitely resonated with me when I was appointed department chair. I had a lot of self-doubt myself, whether I could do the job, whether I knew the rules of what I had to do. And absolutely, once you embrace it, you learn the job, you get to do it to the best of your ability. So yes, absolutely. And I think that's true even today for all of us. So thank you for that wonderful message. So let's now go on to celebrate our master's graduates who graduated as of spring 2020. So let me go in the order of the names. So as listed here. So the first is Alejandro Abraham. He graduated with a master's in 2020. Then it's Madhuri Adhikari, Manaswini Ammanachi, Rahul Atmaramani, Akhil Bhimi Reddy, Nikhil V. Divekar, Matthew Jacob, Kulsum Javed, Ketki Karpare, David Lloyd, Harrison Maritato, Emma Neundorf, Christopher Wynn, Richa Patel, Muskan Pawar, Kavita Raman, Saurabh Vikas Raut, Emma Resnick, Chetna Rudrapatna, Sivasaket Sripada, Chaitra Milan Telang, Anusha Devi Tensing Rajan Tangakanni, and Jose A. Vargas. Congratulations to all of you. We're so excited that you chose to spend the 2 years of your master's with us, and all the very best for your next stage in your career. Congratulations. So for the summer graduates and the fall graduates, for summer 2020, we had Mohammed Ahmed and Caitlin Raby. For fall 2020, we have Bushra Bilal Amarne, Sophie Ellen Farmer, Danielle Herubin, Matthew Francis Male, Spandana Skandan, Jeffrey Brian Sum. They're expected to graduate. Exams are done. We anticipate this will all go excellent. And congratulations once again to everyone. With this, now we'll move on to the PhD portion of the ceremony. And we are inviting the principal investigators with whom these various PhD graduates work with to recognize these doctoral graduates. So with that, is Dr. Pancrazio there?
Okay, well, I'm very pleased to introduce and recognize Rahul Atmarmani, earned his PhD in spring of 2020. Rahul was in the lab for 4 years, did a fantastic, went to Southeast Missouri State, came to the lab, really made a tremendous difference in terms of a lot of the work that we're doing. He worked on a very important project to develop an entirely new, different process for identifying mechanisms as well as potential therapeutics that are non-opioid for chronic pain. And with it, we're very proud of his success. And he's moved on to Sensorium. It's a startup in San Francisco. So congratulations to Rahul. Also, we had Dr. Allison Marina Stiller, came to us from the University of Rochester with a background in biomechanics. I was able to talk her into working in a lab where we thought about biomechanics on a very small scale. With it, she did just tremendous work, a whole number of publications that we're very proud of all of her contributions. She worked on a project to identify softening intracortical recording electrodes and understand the biomechanical interactions at the tissue device interface within the brain. Again, just a terrific record, has moved on to consulting and we'll be hearing from Dr. Stiller a little bit later. Congratulations, Allison. Last but not least is Rashid Rahani, who earned his PhD with our group, exploring liquid crystal elastomers as a material interface for neural devices, and taking a project that is working across labs with Dr. Taylor Ware in collaboration, which is something, it's very much a reoccurring theme in our bioengineering department, but also bioengineering in general as a field. We oftentimes work across domains and fields, and is best well typified by Dr. Rahani's work. With it, he has spent some time at the Air Force laboratories in Dayton, Ohio, has returned to Texas and exploring the job market opportunities in the local area. Very proud of you, Dr. Rahani, and thank you for your contributions and congratulations. I'll turn it back over to Dr. Prasad.
Let us now go on to, thank you, Dr. Pancrazio. Let's now go on to recognize Dr. Mahade Kazamimudigham. She got her PhD in Dr. Nicholas Fai's lab, and her work was in continuous classification of locomotion in response to task complexity and Parkinson's disease. So Mahade came to us, and she actually has got a multidisciplinary training where in her master's back in Iran, she did very much biosensing work. And since then, she's evolved. She worked in labs at UT Southwestern, our medical school with whom we have a joint graduate program. And then she has moved on to take a very clinical focus and then back into a very functional biomechanical focus. So congratulations very much, Mahadi.
Yes, so it is my honor and privilege to congratulate Kevin Lamb. So Kevin worked on multiple projects in my lab. His thesis focus was on developing some novel substrates that mimic the corneal structure. And so Kevin came to my lab. He was actually one of the students that moved when I moved from the University of Oklahoma to UT Dallas. Kevin was one of the students that moved with me, and he is one of the main reasons why my lab got up and running so quickly. Kevin has, a number of different skills. His skills in photolithography and microfabrication not only benefited this project, but it also benefited other projects in the area of kidney tubule formation. And he was a big reason for the strong collaboration that I have with researchers down at UT Southwestern Medical Center. And so currently, Kevin is now an imaging specialist with Nikon. So you still, for those of you at UTD, you might still see him around setting up your microscope. And so so Kevin, congratulations, great job, and I wish you the best.
All right. Well, it gives me particular pleasure to recognize and to congratulate Atif Ghazavi on her PhD. Ati is actually my first graduate student, and she brought some fairly remarkable talents to her research. She is perhaps best recognized for the intellectual rigor in her work, and a work ethic and an enthusiasm for learning new things that is perhaps, so far anyway in my experience, unrivaled. So I think that I learned as much from Ati, certainly, as Ati might have learned from me. So it has been really my pleasure to have Ati as a graduate student, and I am really very proud of the work that she did, and very proud of Ati in completing her thesis. And the only apology I have is I'm sorry it took quite so long, Ati, but I think we both learned a lot and both enjoyed it. Ati's research was in the area of electrical interfaces to the nervous system, with a particular emphasis on so-called ultramicroelectrode interfaces, which brought a lot of mathematics and a lot of very deep thought on electrochemical processes that occur at electrodes. And anyway, all of this eventually manifested itself as a PhD thesis. And then Ati moved on to obtain a postdoctoral position at Duke University with Professor Warren Grill. And Professor Grill is one of the foremost authorities in this field. So she is now working in a tremendously well-recognized and respected laboratory. So Ati, my heartfelt congratulations to you. And it was a wonderful experience having you as a graduate student.
Hello, and congratulations to all. I would specifically like to congratulate Maziar Keshavarzian. He graduated with his PhD from our lab, and he's made great advancements in the cardiovascular realm. Specifically, he created an agent-based model for understanding how arteries remodel. Cardiovascular disease is one of the #1 causes of death. So I think this model will be very insightful to understanding our arteries. And he's been recognized by lots of independent groups, such as the American Heart Association. He received a pre-doctoral award for that. He's received travel awards to go to summer conferences. I think he received the Johnson Graduate Fellowship. So a lot of people have recognized him for his great work. And I just want to congratulate you, Maziar. Good job.
So it's my pleasure to congratulate Dr. Cedric Paul Ambulo, who graduated who just defended his dissertation in October of 2020. So Cedric joined UT Dallas from Austin College, which is in Sherman, with his a degree in physics, and he I think has always been motivated to apply this understanding to biomedical applications. So he joined my lab in 2016, and he's been building a class of artificial muscles that are 3D printable. And I think this has really been some tremendously exciting work. And we imagine a number of applications in assistive devices, which I know is something that Cedric has a passion for himself. And so Cedric currently is at the Air Force Research Laboratory working in a wonderful group in Dayton, Ohio. And I expect to continue to see great things from Dr. Ambulo in the future. So congratulations, Cedric. It's been a pleasure having you as a graduate student in my group.
So it is my great pleasure to introduce Punit Sultan Tabar. Punit spent 4 years in my research group working on development of a microfluidic device on which she wanted to test, and she tested a heart cell line and a cancer cell line. Punit was a fantastic graduate student, my first and only graduate student from bioengineering. The best experience I can imagine. I could not be luckier to get better student than Punit. What I want to mention, her project definitely was aligned, with the bioengineering field. But as we work in a chemistry lab, Punit went in a lab and did a lot of synthesis. While I never asked her to work on organic synthesis, she impressed me in how fast she learned to work in a lab, do the synthesis, and she was able to bring this project now, I think, to a level at which my other graduate students can continue. Also want to mention that she is currently doing an internship at Pfizer, and also she received the job offer to start working for Pfizer in January 2021. One more time to state, an outstanding graduate student. I am sure you are going to hear about her. I'm sure she's going to excel at Pfizer. It was a true honor having her in my group, and congratulations, Punit, and keep up the good work. You are going to go far. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Allison Stiller, who will be giving us the student address for this commencement ceremony. Allison currently works as a consultant at Clearview Healthcare Partners, a life sciences consulting firm that provides strategic insight for pharmaceutical, biotech, and medtech companies. Prior to Clearview, Allison earned her PhD in biomedical engineering here at the University of Texas at Dallas in Dr. Joseph Pancrazio's lab. Allison, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Prasad. Can everyone still hear me okay? Okay, great. So yeah, hi everyone. It's great to see you all. Crazy that it's been so long. And thank you so much to the department for putting this together. It really means a lot, and it's great to have the chance to reconnect with everyone. And also, I really do appreciate the invitation to speak. I did want to start off with some thank yous. So I know this speech isn't supposed to be about me, but I do want to take a moment to thank my advisor, Dr. Pancrazio. It's hard to believe that a chance meeting at a conference during my junior year of college led to all of this, but I really am so grateful that I ended up in your lab. I can't thank you enough for, not only teaching me how to do good science, but also for providing such a strong example of how to be a good leader and a good mentor, and how to throw a great pool party. I want to extend this thank you to all of the PIs on behalf of us students. You've impacted our lives so much over the last several years, and we sincerely appreciate all the time and effort that you put into shaping us into good scientists and people. So thank you so much. I also want to thank all of the families and friends who are present here today. I know personally that I would not have made it through all the ups and downs of PhD life without the support of my fiance, my family, and my friends. So know that you have been an integral part of the support system that made this achievement possible. So thank you. And to my fellow grads, what can I say? Getting a PhD was quite the wild ride, especially finishing up over the last few months. There was a lot of long hours working alone, rarely seeing other people, relying on video calls to connect with friends and family. And then we realized we were in the middle of a pandemic, so we lost out on our only source of human contact, which was lab meetings. I have to say, though, despite how difficult this journey got at times, I did leave here with a lot of great memories. Mostly, I miss the people and how they shaped my experience here, but I'm so grateful for all the friendships that I got out of this experience. I think the only part of this experience that I wish I could have changed was the ending, which felt almost as anticlimactic as the Game of Thrones series finale. I'm sure a lot of you felt the same, and that it seemed strange to work towards something for so long, only to end in a presentation from your kitchen table. But if anything, I think that it taught us a valuable lesson about uncertainty, which speaks to a lot of what our PhD training was really about. When you're working towards a PhD, you have an overall goal, but that the path to get there isn't so clear. You have to try many different iterations of many different ideas until you eventually land on something that gets you a step closer. Mentally, it's a difficult path to go down because sometimes you have to realize that no matter how hard you try, a certain experiment or project just can't work. It's not a reflection of your intelligence, but a reminder that sometimes there are just too many external factors that are out of your control. But it teaches you to pivot, teaches you to be creative and to be open-minded so you can figure out what you're going to do next. And it also encourages you to reach out for support from your peers and guidance from your mentors, which I know will be very important lessons bringing forward in our careers and lives, especially during these crazy times. We might have a PhD in BME, but what we were really trained in is how to be successful despite uncertainty. And now is definitely the time to start exercising this skill. So with that, I'll keep it short, and I want to end by wishing everyone a huge congratulations on this major accomplishment. I wish we were all about to head over to Northside together to get some of that queso on the BME department credit card, but I guess that'll have to wait for another time. But I do wish everyone the absolute best in their careers, and I hope that one day we will get the chance to celebrate together. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Allison. Absolutely. I wish we could all be here in person and say, great congratulations to all of you, you and the rest of the class of 2020. But here we are doing this virtually and looking at each other, or at least we hope that our family and our extended family get to look at it. So I do want to conclude by telling this. 2020 has been a year fraught with challenges, but as engineers, we've been taught to innovate and perform real-time problem solving. So our graduates this year have embodied the spirit. So they have demonstrated perseverance, agility, and resilience towards their academic goals, and their passion has shown through. Dear bioengineering commets, we wish you all the very best in your life and career goals. We will be here to empathize with you in all your setbacks and applaud all your achievements. Please know that we will always be here, a part of your extended Comet family. Whoosh! Thank you all for participating in this virtual commencement, and congratulations once again, Bioengineering Comets.